Let's talk about Mark Cuban, the guy from Shark Tank, and his advice for young people starting a business. Hi there. Welcome to Cranium X Rectum. I am Conrad Hall, and what I want to talk about is Mark Cuban, and specifically an article done by Tom Huddleston Jr. It's from December 25th of 2022, and Mr. Huddleston writes for CNBC. And let me say right off the top, I like Mark Cuban. I think he has an excellent outlook on things, and I think in this article he gives some really great advice. What I want to do is augment his advice. I think he says some really great things here, and everything is down below. The article is there, extra articles are there that you can reference and read through. And I think Mark's experience is wonderful, and my hope is that every child would have the same sort of experience. But I know from my own life and from reality that a lot of kids have a less than ideal experience. So I want to go through what Mark says. I'm having trouble talking. I want to go through what Mark says and augment it with my experience and things that I have learned. So this whole article is about Mark having addressed it's a group of high school students at Louisville High School in Texas. Okay? And I'll start with a basic synopsis of Mark's advice. It's a quote here in the article. The key to starting a business when you are young is doing things that you can do yourself. Things you can do with your time. Now, Mark uses a tautology there. He says your own time, but that's actually bad grammar. So, things you can do with your time. And Mark is absolutely 100% correct. And I think he's correct for every business owner. Okay, I am just starting this YouTube channel. So everything I'm doing is what I do with my time. I'm shooting the videos. That's why I'm in my living room using, a very simple set, as it were. I do the editing for the videos. I upload them. I do everything required. As things develop, I will hire in help to get video editing done, to get some help with scripting and writing, that kind of stuff. But there is a thing that Mark misses, and is wonderfully shown in his life. So the thing that got him started, and if you know Mark Cuban, you probably have some awareness of this story, he started by selling garbage bags. And where that came from was, he went to his dad and said, "Dad, I want this pair of running shoes," that at the time was an astronomical price, like $50 for a pair of running shoes. Now I realize today, this is shot in 2023, so $50 for a pair of running shoes is actually, relatively inexpensive. But at the time, it was a lot of money. And Mark had shoes that were just fine. His parents had already supplied him with shoes. They worked just fine. So his father's response was, note that, his father's response rather than reaction. At some point, there are other videos that will explain the difference between those two things. But his father's response was, no, I will not buy those for you. If you want to buy those, you need to earn the money to buy them. So Mark had parents who supported and encouraged his both desire and ability to earn extra money. And that is huge. Speaking as someone who grew up without the love of parents, I had two of them. I had a mom and a dad. My parents decided before I was ever born that I would be my father's vehicle for venting all the anger and rage he had from how he was treated by his mother. So rather than go deal with it with his mother, rather than deal with it in himself, he decided that he would take out all his anger and frustration on me, the third child in the family. When I get the video shot, I'll reference it in the description down below so that you can have a better understanding of that. So, Mark immediately starts looking for, how can I make some extra money? You know, trying to get some ideas. There happened to be a friend of the family there who said, oh, you want to make some extra money? How would you like to sell garbage bags? Sure. What are you talking about? Well, I have thousands upon thousands of garbage bags in my garage. I need to sell them. So if you go and sell the garbage bags, and I'm sure it's here in the article somewhere, but we'll say basically he could buy, let's say he could buy 100 garbage bags, household garbage bags. Not little bin bags, not, you know, at the time it would just basically have been a green garbage bag, okay? So let's say he could buy 100 of them for $3, and when he went door to door, he would sell 100 of them for $5. So he's making money on every sale. And that's what he did. He would go up, knock on a door, and when somebody answered the door, he would say, do you use garbage bags? Yes. I have garbage bags. And show them a garbage bag and say, you know, here it is, it's 100 bags for $5, which he was selling for less than what they could buy them at the store. So there was an incentive, plus, as a kid, and Mark is about my age, so we're talking, this would have been in the 1970s probably. So before Amazon had their special, you know, one-day delivery, and, you know, UPS and FedEx all existed to do overnight delivery, that sort of thing, Mark offered a service where he would deliver the garbage bags to your door. So you didn't have to go buy them. You could forget about garbage bags. And he would show up, you know, from month to month to month, and say, do you need some more garbage bags? Do you need some more garbage bags? Do you need some more garbage bags? And sell you another box of 100 garbage bags. And that, the thing that I want you to focus on is that love and support from his parents, which a lot of people I know, you take it for granted. But there are kids out there who are growing up without it. And my position is we need to remember that it takes a village to raise a child. So, can you step in and tell Bill and Mary down the street, you know, or Chester and Winifred down the street, or, you know, whoever, you're doing a bad job of raising your son or your daughter, and you should do things differently? Well, no, because none of us enjoy being told that we're wrong, and we tend to get defensive about that. But if we see a situation where we know a child, I'll use my own life. Everybody knew, okay? Everybody knew the attitude. Partly because my mother told them, never call home, always call her. Because my mother was a school teacher. So I didn't go to the same school where she did, but, you know, the teachers knew to call her at school and explain something that I had done or that had happened to me rather than calling home. And she did that because she knew if they called home and my father found out, there'd be absolute hell to pay. Didn't want that. But this same person, at one point when I was counting money from a paper route where I had collected, and I had 4 paper routes as a kid. 4. I had collected the money, and I asked for my mother for help with sorting out the money and getting the 4 bills paid for the 4 different newspapers. Her answer was, no. We told you to not take those paper routes. So if you can't handle it on your own, then you just can't handle it. And I was 10, maybe, 11. what a different attitude compared to Mark Cuban's parents. Where Mark's parents absolutely said, no, we will not buy you those running shoes. And if you want to buy them, you need to find a way to make money. And then supported him in his efforts to make money. Whereas I went out against the wishes of my parents, took over the 2 paper routes that my brother and sister had, and we were far enough apart in age. We were each 3 years apart. So my sister had 1 paper route. My brother took that over and got a 2nd paper route. Then I took both of those over and I got a 3rd and a 4th route. So despite that success, despite that ambition, despite that willingness to work, when I asked for help, my mother's response was basically, Farfig Nugan you. We told you to not do that. No, I will not help you. That really has an inclination to kill the spirit in a kid. And it certainly did nothing for our relationship. Something else that Mark mentions, it's in this article, and you can see the paper. So something else Mark advises is, build around something that you can offer to friends and family and neighbors. All right, so when I had the paper routes, I went to every house on the street where I lived. And the street where I lived, it was called Jarvis Street. For about 3 blocks, it was all residential. And then the last block was all businesses. So I made a point for all 4 paper routes. I went to everybody. And I would say, oh, you're already getting the Times Review and the Niagara Falls Review? How about the Toronto Star and the Globe and Mail? You're already getting the Toronto Star and the Globe and Mail? And this was usually for a business. And I would say, well, how about supporting the local newspaper and getting the Times Review? It's only a couple more dollars a week, and you'll be supporting the local newspaper. Yeah, and I would use the same thing for the Niagara Falls Review, which was more of a regional newspaper, whereas the Toronto Star and the Globe and Mail are national newspapers. And I had almost every single home and every single business on my street getting all 4 newspapers. And when I finally asked for help, and I didn't really want help, I just really wanted my mother to come be there with me and to be part of it. I wanted to celebrate the success that I was enjoying, because at the time, 4 paper routes, and I had to collect every week for those paper routes. So on the living room floor, pretty much all in change, I had to have somewhere around $120 to $130 on the living room floor. And I just needed to allocate how much went to each newspaper, and then I wanted to celebrate, look at how much money I made this week. And instead I got told, no, we never wanted you to have those routes anyway. So, Mark is very, very right. I kind of got off on a tangent there. He's very right. You want to do something that you can offer right in your neighborhood. Okay? It's no good if you're 10 or 12, 14 years old, even 16 or 17 years old. You should have no desire to be going 10 miles to do something. You want to do something where it's very local to you. And ideally, you want to do something easy. For example, delivering a newspaper, selling garbage bags, shoveling snow, doing pulling weeds in flower beds, cutting grass, those kinds of things, where you can service all the people that are on your street, all the people that are on your block, and earn money that way. So, what if your parents are like mine and they don't want you to do this? What do you do? The honest answer is you are stuck. Because they are your parents. You know, they get to make those choices. For good or ill, they get to make those choices. But if you are really determined, then what you could do is you could explore talking to some neighbors, ask them and explain to them, listen, my parents don't want me to do this, but I want to earn some money. And what I need is your help. I need you. Can I borrow your lawnmower to go cut grass? Can I borrow a gas can to carry gas in to go cut grass? I want to go weed flower beds. Can I borrow gardening tools from you so that I can go pull weeds in people's flower beds? You should expect that some of your neighbors are going to say, I get it and I applaud what you're trying to do, but I have no desire to go against your parents' wishes. They don't want to be starting a trouble for themselves. You might find someone who is willing to help you. Now, somebody else you can try are teachers at your school. Talk to them and say, make sure that you are honest. That's an important point. Make sure you are honest that my parents don't really want me to do this, but I want to start earning money for college. I want to start earning money for a carpentry apprenticeship. This is why I want to do this. A really good example from when I was growing up is, and there are still schools that do this, where you have a shop class specifically for automobiles in the school. So, if that is something that interests you, you think you can do that, go to that shop teacher, even you are 11 years old, you have yet to go to high school, go to that shop teacher and ask, can I come over here after school and start to learn? And you can start learning how to work on a car. There are some, for example, a woodworking shop. At 10, 11, 12 years of age, the answer is going to be no. Now, can you go and watch? Yes. But there's no way they are going to let you use the tools because it's too big of a liability issue. You need to be a student at that school so that you are covered by the school's insurance. Now, a point that actually Tom makes, the fellow who wrote the article, is that roughly 20% of new businesses fail within a year of launching. He is absolutely correct. And it actually gets worse. Within about the first 5 years, and these are US and Canada numbers, okay? 95 to 98% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I'm speaking specifically to the young adults now. This applies to everybody looking at starting a business, but I'm going to talk to the young adults. Where these numbers change is in the Amish community. And the reason they change is because the Amish community is very much focused on helping people start and run their business. Now, of course, the Amish are very well known for woodworking. They do farming, and they do lots of rural pursuits, let's say. But I'm going to take woodworking in particular. So let's say, Mary goes to work for George, and Mary is learning how to build furniture. And in the process of doing that, Mary works for George for, let's say, 10 years. And when George starts, George has 100 customers, and Mary starts doing some work for some of those customers. And as she gets better and better, she brings in new customers. Well, those customers are her customers. Now, George will also bring in some new customers because Mary enables him to increase his productivity. So George gets a couple more new customers, Mary gets some new customers, and let's say 10 years down the road, Mary has reached a point where she's ready to step out on her own. Well, when she goes, the customers who came into George, those stay with George. But the customers who came in to Mary, those go with Mary. Those are her customers. She takes them with her. So she has built up 10 years of experience, 10 years of knowledge, 10 years of doing the work. She has built up a customer base so that when she goes and starts her business, she already has a loyal customer base. That system kind of doesn't really exist outside of the Amish community. Now it does in pockets. But this is the kind of thing that you want to be looking for. So I'll go back to the whole shop thing, learning how to fix cars. What you do is once you're a student in that school, you start talking to neighbors and friends and so on and saying, hey, when you need work on your car done, bring it to me. I will do the work. So I can do an oil change, I can do a front end alignment, I can change shock absorbers, I can do body work. Depending on what your school offers, maybe you can do stuff that involves interacting with the computer that's on the car, maybe no, okay? But there's going to be stuff that you can do. And you get your friends, you get your neighbors to bring their car to you, and you do it at the school. And instead of them paying, say, $50 for an oil change, they pay $25. Out of that $25, you supply the oil. Or you tell them, you know what, just here's the oil you need, go get it, put it in your trunk, bring it with you, I'll do the oil change. This is the way to do it. And I get it. You are going to feel insecure about doing something that your parents have told you to not do. I get, and I'm just looking over at the timer. I want to be careful about how long I go. I get that. And I get that you would then be keeping a secret from your parents that you are earning this money and putting it away. Okay. I'll give you a heads up. If your parents are set against your success, then at some point in the future, you are going to have to leave your parents behind anyway. You may as well start setting yourself up for success so that when the time comes that you do step away from your parents, you are equipped to do that. Now, I could talk for hours. I could just talk for hours anyway. But I could talk about the stuff that Mark is doing. I would strongly suggest that, you know, if you watch YouTube, which I'm guessing you do since you're watching this, do a search for Mark Cuban and, you know, listen to the advice that he gives. Because I think he gives excellent advice. I think there's a phrase that I have lived with for a long time. You want a mentor to model and a mentor to talk to. Now, it can be hard to find the mentor to talk to. But I guarantee if you want a mentor to model, Mark Cuban is somebody to watch. He's somebody to pay attention to. There you go. That's Mark Cuban and his advice to young people starting a business. Thank you very much for watching. I would ask you please do click the like button, the thumbs up button. That helps a lot. And please do subscribe. That will let you know when I post new videos. You can ignore the subscription thing or the notification thing. If you want notifications, that's cool. Click notifications. But just subscribing will make new videos pop up in your feed. So that's cool. I would appreciate that very much. It's free to you. It is extremely helpful to me. And most importantly, please, any questions that you have, any comments you have for how this can be better or other things that I could cover to be helpful to you, please let me know what those are in the comments. I would really, really appreciate you doing that. Okie doke. Thank you very much. Have yourself a great day. Bye now.